Hello, freaks, geeks, hoies, and hoes. It's everyone's favorite small titty punk GF of your dreams or nightmares, Inaries, and I am here to say, fuck you. That's right. That's right. We are here to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog's 35th anniversary. I'm a pretty big Sonic fan, and I thought the best way to talk about this was to talk about the UK Sonic the comic. So I went and got my hands on Sonic the comic, just go over, the first issue with you guys, which came out May 29th, 1993. So a few years after Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, actually. But I went into this and was fascinated by this product. It is so cool that not only was it like a really early comic in the land of Sonic the Hedgehog, but what was actually really neat about it, it was in a magazine first off. I should stress that it was in a magazine. Look at this cool cover right here. Look how cool this is, right? So when I actually read through this, it reminded me more of Nintendo Power, which was really neat. We start with Sonic the comic, and then there's game reviews and a bunch of other stuff. But we're here to mostly talk about Sonic the comic, because once again, happy anniversary, Sonic the Hedgehog. You are now middle-aged. Congratulations, you did it. You made it through the angsty years, and now you are here. To start things off, we get this wonderful thing called the Control Zone. As you can see on screen over there, it is this pretty cool layout. It has things about the Mega Drive, coming out the Master System, the Game Gear, because remember, this is a UK thing, so they didn't use the United States naming conventions, which are different than everyone else, with the Mega Drive being the Sega Genesis. But we get this how to read the comics, read the strips, run the zones, give up data. We even got a welcome screen with a little narrator bot called Megadroid. We even get it in this nice little font over here, which is really, really cool. What I want to illustrate for a moment on this, we have Megadroid, but at the top it says, "Hey, Sonic Boomers!" And in the 2026 year, that's the year Earth is in, right? I don't know. I don't know what you weird mortal things do. But Sonic Boomers, they put a comma, it'd be Sonic Boomers. Okie dokie boomer, which is very fitting for Sonic's middle age story, right? Very fun in that regard. I think that's exciting. Great way to set the stage. But as what's kind of neat, we open up into the comic. I'm not going to actually show you guys the whole comic because I think it's more fun for people to read the stuff themselves. I just want to talk about it because I think it's really neat. How it opens, we get this really soft color Sonic the Hedgehog. We get some robots. Enter Sonic. Behold, the checker background of loop-de-loops and gun shells and claws. We get this really interesting, Dr. Robotnik, but he makes egg puns all the time. So, like, they're aware there's some egg manning going on. So it's kind of a neat fusion of the two. He's got, like, this exaggerated butt chin. He actually reminds me of the Millennium Earl from Degraman, which is a fantastic supernatural series. If you like Full Metal Alchemist, definitely go check out Degraman. But that's what he reminds me of, the Millennium Earl. He has like that same face shot. It's super cool. We get some sound effects. It's colorful. I really like the soft watercolors of it. It's very neat. We get this harsh reds with Robotnik's background. Works well as a piece, right? Skipping a little ahead, we have enemies coming in to attack Sonic. Again, we have the contrasts of the red and blues, which is really neat. I really like the color. It kind of reminds me a little of coloring books almost, with color pencils and crayons and the way it's colored. Again, this was traditional media in the 90s, so it should have that air to it, but I think it's kind of neat. We have animals that pop out when Sonic smashes them that are like, "Hey, Sonic, hold up, bro. Hold up, it's a trap. He's setting a trap for you." And Sonic's like, whatever, I'm Sonic the fucking Hedgehog, that's just what I do. Skipping a little bit ahead again on the topic of animals. Sonic falls, smashes a thing, we get a pig. Porker Lewis. Porker Lewis. And I guess it's like some kid or something. I don't know. But we get this final shot of a pachow. And this little pig guy go, "He's my hero." I do like the buck teeth on the Porker Lewis. Fun. Also, we see chunky Sonic a little bit in the top panel. Fun shots again. I like the background, the soft pinks. Not sure why they're in Cosmic Fire, but hey, There's probably a robot exploding or something going on in the background. But it incorporates game stuff. Sonic falls, has to worry about spikes, bounces off robots, releases friends. It's a good time. And we have started to approach the finale of the comic. I won't do the next couple panels, but I like this one. Sonic just builds up speed, punches through, because this was a boss threat that was built up, eating rings in the land. Ah, so spooky. But he just like smashes into it, which Sonic buzzsaw bullet machinery physics don't really work on Sonic. He kind of just punches. That's why he always beats Eggman. How much he can do about that? Kind of an unfortunate situation for him. But I like this capturing of the moment with Sonic rushing in as a bullet smashes into the machine. The next panel is really cool. I'm not going to show it because I want you guys to look some of these things up because I think they're really cool. Now we get to the more interesting stuff. So I wanted to really talk about the comic, and that is mostly what I wanted to do with this because I have always wanted to read them. They have the infamous character of Evil Supersonic, and I might continue this series and talk about that some more. But what fascinated me with this was it the magazine aspect, because Nintendo Power is really cool. I really like Nintendo Power. It has a lot of neat stuff. I like the communities around it, the art, the commentaries between the journalists and the viewers, the submissions. It's a cool experience to collect them. This was actually kind of neat. So as you see on this, there's a Game Gear corner. They do game reviews with like a 70% overall. They have a little marking with Mega Drive, which was the Genesis Mega CD, TC rating system. They break it down in the review zone. We get screenshots. The Master System was their 8-bit console, for those that don't know, and the Game Gear was the challenger to the Game Boy, which was a full color, I want to say 16-bit handheld, but it was gorgeous. Just 8 batteries, very expensive. But it continues these reviews with different games. As you see, there is the Flintstones on this. We got some reviews. They have different ratings. The system would be graphics, sound, playability. Really cool stuff like that. I genuinely think that is very neat of how they handled it. They even have little sections with articles in it, do multiple games. If you do their little shorthand, they have different games in it. But what's also neat is there were other comics in this book. This is a one about the Shinobi games. Art style is completely different. This one has a hard shadow, very gritty, realistic. Kind of reminds me of horror comics like Tales from the Crypt and things like that with the hard shadows, the folds on the clothes. It's really, really neat how many of these were in here. Got some martial arts, some shadows, mandatory booty shot. I just clicking through some of these just to illustrate the point. We're not going to keep showing all of them because, again, I think it would be more fun to talk about it. We get a snapshot in time, which is really cool with like the news zone. They talk about the Mega Drive and the Mega CD. I actually have a Genesis Model 2. I also have a Model 3. I don't have a CD. I do have a 32X, but my Model 2, which is what that Mega Drive looks like, doesn't have the red buttons. So just seeing the different regions is really neat as a retro collector. The article also talks about Street Fighter. We have our mandatory Chun-Li popping up on the screen. Very important. Got to get them thick thighs. Representing as it continues to go in. It talks about Hail to the Champs with UK Sega Champ. They had a double header. I didn't even know the UK had Sega Champs. What does a Sega Champ do? We could go in and read the article. I'm not here to read articles to you guys because, again, go look it up yourself. See if you can find a secondhand copy. See if you can. They have it in ebook format. I was able to find copies and get them here. Very, very fun to do, though. Which brings us to our final comic in this. We have Golden Axe. I think this is actually built around Golden Axe 2, not Golden Axe 1, because it can't be 3. 3 had the furry character and a new cast. So I think this was Golden Axe 2. It has, again, a different art style, very solid, plays like the game. They beat enemies up. We got a lizard person with boobies. That's kind of interesting choice. I like the reptile head. But this was such a treat because I was not expecting to run into it and have all this different art. Welcome to the Q zone. Q is for question. Q is for query. Q is for Quandary. Enter the Q Zone for hints, tips, and help with your favorite Sega games. It's really cool. Nintendo Power also used to do this. They used to have a tips and tricks and cheats. Actually had whole playthrough sections, which still separates them. Again, they have the example of the Mega Drive and the Mega System little logos, and for Golden Axe 1, Golden Axe 2. They even have some tips for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with the Special Zone. I actually really like the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Special Zone. And then they have stuff about the Game Genie, Echo the Dolphin, more Sonic the Hedgehog. I was very impressed by seeing how cool this was with all the different things in it. And then it has some sneak peeks of new comics coming, a variety of them. I'm, again, reiterating that we're not going to show all of them, but one of them had Wonder Boy. I actually really like the cartoony art of this one with the hard shadows, but the very color cartoony look to it. Very fun is what I would say. And the thing rounds out with some more Sonics content. So we have a section that has some stuff written into it. We have some fan art with the Sega Game Gear and Sonic in it. We have one that has, I have written you a story. I'm not going to read that story. Lost of the Dinosaurs. It's really neat. And you could even send in stuff for it. Here's the next issue hype. Only 95p. Is that pence? I don't know what the P stands for. Pence? Pence? That's the Sonic comic? And I was so excited when I went through this. I was just here to read the first comic, and it turned out to be a whole magazine. That's something that's missing, is these avenues where they mashed things together with comics and games and letters. There's kind of a really neat community built into this aspect. And that's what I would say probably propelled Sonic so far into the zeitgeist as a piece of the internet, is the way community was built around Sonic. And I think that's one of the neatest things about the franchise, was its ability to transcend borders and bring people into community, whether it was with a UK Sonic comic, the Archie into IDW comics, the TV series, the OVA movies, the video games themselves, eventually the animes with Sonic X fan content that would lead to many characters. And I genuinely think magazines built around that is a good way to celebrate the anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog, a super cool franchise that I have played a lot of games with throughout the years on many consoles, highlights being in the GameCube era, where they brought all the 3D games in, but also ported a bunch of the 2D for first experiences, which led me to my favorite Sonic game being Sonic CD. I think the time travel's really neat, but just the aspect of the community being built around that, both in Nintendo Power and other magazines, is great. And I just want to close this video off by saying I think that's where Sonic is at its strongest, is building communities together. Happy Sonic's birthday. Now get out. Get out. I don't want to have to call the mods on you, but we're done with this. Shoo. I'm done being positive. Blah. Bye. Ugh. Why are you still here? Why are you still here? Fine. I guess go read my webcomic on Webtoons or Comic Fury, or go check out my website. Ugh. You can see art. Ugh. Get out. Get out of here. All right, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. We're done. Get off my screen. We're done. Get out of here. Mods, they won't leave. Mods!